Hi everyone, welcome to my review of John G. Avildsen's Rocky in 1976. So yes, here we are. We've rewatched, of course, tonight. I've seen this many times. At least 30 times probably over the years. And yes, here is a Blu-ray steelbook. Great stuff here. Just wonderful stuff. And of course, yeah, Apollo Creed on the back and the spine. Also great, in my opinion. And yes, this will be a spoiler review. I will be getting into some of the stuff, of course. But I guess most people, at least that are watching this, have seen Rocky. It's one of the most seen films and one of the most loved films. So yes, I've seen, as I say, I've seen this many times. I saw it as a kid, of course, for the first time, and yes, just I'll say it right now, one of my very favourite films. This it's always been one of my favourites, and of course, yeah. Some people don't like the film, or some prefer the sequels. In my opinion, none of the sequels compare at all to this one. This is the only one for me, that is actually a masterpiece. And yes, when I say masterpiece, wow, an understatement. For me, this is one of the best films ever made. And yeah, I think, of course, people do say, how did this win Best Picture and stuff? Of course, over Taxi Driver. I do probably think Taxi Driver is a better film, but I do prefer this. I'll say that. And yeah, I think as well, people compare it to Raging Bull. Now, I don't really like to compare it. Very different. I think, again, probably, yeah, Raging Bull's a better film, probably. But Rocky, I actually prefer it. And, that's saying a lot because, of course, Raging Bull, Taxi Driver, some of my very favourite films in my top 60. This is well into my top 50. So I believe that is my favourite film that I reviewed in the whole of 2019. So, yes. This film, of course, stars Sylvester Stallone. He actually wrote the script, and John G. Avildsen, of course, also directed The Karate Kid, and yeah, some of the sequels there. He didn't direct, Rocky 2 and 3 and stuff, but yeah, he's mostly known for these two kind of franchises that started. Although I personally don't think any of them should have had, other sequels, in my opinion. And the sequels really pale in comparison to both these films. But yes. Just a great director, and it's just Sylvester Stallone, of course, stars as Rocky Balboa, and he wrote the script. For me, this is one of the very best scripts in cinema. Of course, it's about the American dream, and all these really strong, such powerful themes are in the film, and the script is genius for me. It's a perfect kind of blend of naturalism as well, and you've got the great comedy, even within the script. The dialogue is just so unique and natural and kind of just hilarious. This character of Rocky is one of the greatest in cinema. There's a reason he's iconic. He's just one of the best for me. And yeah, basically this Philadelphia boxer. And yeah, of course, he's been going for quite a few years. He's been going to this gym for, I think it's about 6 years. And of course, there's this elderly guy and named Mickey. And basically, yeah, he's disappointed in Rocky. Kind of saying, you've never aimed too high and stuff, and you're gonna lose it soon. So eventually it all comes into place as, of course, Rocky starts training to face Apollo Creed, who's the champion and stuff. And yes, played by Carl Weathers in the film, and he is absolutely brilliant in the film. Just so hilarious and just great performance. And of course, it's a love story. This film, no doubt. It's one of my very favourite romances in cinema, and just one of the most inspirational films, that I've ever seen. This is a story, a love story, but it's also just, it is about the American dream. But it's not. It shows it's not just about winning. It's about kind of going the distance, as I said in the film. And I think The Karate Kid is one of my favourite films, top 100. This film, as I say, is in my top 50. This is even better for me personally than The Karate Kid, although. No doubt, I can see how some people prefer the Karate Kid. There's no way that they're incomparable. They're both some of my favourite films, and there's maybe a couple of things here and there that I prefer about the Karate Kid. Like the overall the songs used and stuff, and some aspects of the film, but mainly I in every single way, pretty much, I do prefer Rocky, and I think. The acting across the board, wow, this is some of the best acting, in a film actually for me. Talia Shire is absolutely wonderful. Of course, she's in the Godfather films. Mainly the first two. She was amazing in. 3 I've only seen like a couple of times really, and yeah, it's not. I never loved the film. I actually kind of never really liked it. I'll give that a rewatch, of course, this year, as I will. But yeah, and she's best known for these films, and of course Rocky. As Adrian. And yes, for me, this is her best role. Personally, it's the one that she is, of course, given one of the main roles in the film. And wow, this is a love story that is just so relatable and kind of so genius and unique. Of course, she's a kind of very, very shy and awkward character at first in this pet shop, and of course Rocky basically keeps kind of pestering her, as you will, and stuff, and yeah, eventually they go out together and they go ice skating and stuff, and they do form a romance, and yeah, it's just I loved her performance in this, because it's so hard to put off what she does here. It's a transformation in the film, and it's so wonderful, this performance. She starts off very, very shy, and I will say it's actually masterful. The performance she gives, in the way she just perfectly portrays in a natural way. This awkwardness, and then she grows as the film goes on, mainly through her relationship with Rocky, and even though she has quite a troubled time with her brother in the film, Paulie, who's of course played by Burt Young, another brilliant performance in the film. Everyone here, of course. Burgess Meredith as Mickey, he is great in the film, and just all these, there's only a few main characters in the film, but wow, they all give absolutely stunning performances, and yeah, I just think, as I say, this relationship between Rocky and Adrian is so complex, but there's a simplicity as well to how it unfolds, and eventually it just the way it unfolds is perfect for me. And of course, Sylvester Stallone in the film, he gives one of the best performances of all time for me personally, and again, very, very hard to pull off this actually, but it's such a geniusly written character actually, and so great in the performance. It really is something else. There's such a charm and innocence to it, and just the way he's kind of this, he's not the cleverest of people, but that just is used for such so much of a comedy in the film, and the heart of the film. That's the whole point. Of course, he has kind of dead end jobs and stuff, and his boxing career is very, very it's not exactly successful. It shows the struggles of this you kind of low time kind of boxers, and how at times they're exploited and stuff, and it's a shame. But then of course he does get the big break, and in that sense it really perfectly portrays the American dream. It's an interpretation of that, but it's not one-sided at all. This of course shows the how people can struggle, but then also the hope in actually being able to at least have a shot, and that's what the film's about at times. And yeah, it's more of a boxing film, of course, than Raging Bull. It's always compared and stuff. I do think the editing and stuff is better in Raging Bull for sure, but this is very, very different. Sylvester Stallone actually choreographed the fight scenes in the film, and they are stunning. Some of my favourite fight scenes in cinema. The ending act, of course, where he faces Apollo Creed, is stuff of legends. The music by Bill Conti is amazing. This is one of my favourite, just soundtracks in general. I love it. It's something that of course inspires me, and just it's so epic. Of course, the way it's used in the film. I just love Bill Conti music overall. He's done some great works, and just wow. The whole final act, to say, with the music and stuff. It's just an operatic piece, and of course, yes. What do I think has better fight scenes? Oh, on to that. Raging Bull for me, but it's not. It's completely different. Raging Bull is really something completely. It's very complex in that sense. It's not kind of boxing fight scenes. The way it's edited and stuff, it's more kind of an extension and saying something about the actual character of Jake LaMotta, and it's very, very different, more psychological than actual physical, you could say. So it's not really comparable. But the fight scenes in this in itself, are some of the best I've seen, and of course it is much more of a drama than the sequels, and it's so invested in this film. It actually has very few actual fight scenes, but when they are there, they are perfect in my opinion. The way they're so visceral, and it's kind of a slightly documentary-esque kind of style at times, and it's incorporated into the film. The shots from the crowd to get you immersed in that, and how it's kind of, it's got a gritty look, of course, like a lot of 70s films have, and of course, yeah, it just adds to the experience. Just the first half an hour, it's really just him kind of, you see it in such a natural way, going to and fro the gym, and you see him about his everyday life. And I will say this is one of the best opening acts to a film ever. Despite some saying it's not much happens and all this, so much happens. You learn about the characters. Everything is set up perfectly. The kind of the relationships in the film. The kind of the struggles, they're all set up, and then that gives the film a drive. And just it's very, very low key stuff on paper, but the way it involves you, and this charming and just lovable character as well. It's the way Rocky reacts to things around him in the film. His kind of look on life, that's also very, very funny, and very unique and kind of charming. But wow, it's actually really, really powerful. This film, it is emotional. It's more the emotions, the heights that it reaches is more in the vein of kind of upbeat and hopeful and stuff, and instead of kind of depressing and stuff, or not depressing, but dark and tragic. It's not something like Raging Bull, but yeah, I think in that sense, it is such an emotional film, and the way it kind of inspires me, and just you can put this to anything really, just to keep going, and despite kind of coming from kind of not great surroundings and stuff, being able to achieve literally whatever you want, and that's something that can be used and thought about for anything really. It's just such a wonderful film, and there's such a warmth to it. Just the relationships. As I say, Burt Young is a really, really great actor in this film, and they're all in some of the sequels and stuff, but I never think it really it compares to this at all. There is such an emotion to the story that goes on with him, and of course the relationship between him and Adrian, Paulie and Adrian. It's really, really powerful stuff. It's very dark at times, but the way it comes together, it is really wonderful. And this is a film. It's about acceptance through different characters, of course, Adrian and Rocky, and it's just so uplifting, and really, really, of course, an epic film. The scope of it, although it does start off very, very small in many ways, it becomes a truly, truly legendary and epic film. It's a lovable film. It's the one that is so masterfully directed. John G. Avildsen, was such a great director. The editing is great in this film. Won an Oscar for that, of course, as well, and Best Picture, Best Director, and for me, it is my favourite film. Of 1976. So yeah, I think. Great, kind of reception. Of course, it got the Oscars, and it's such an amazing film. Many people kind of associate it with a very, very as a very, very commercial film, but again, very, very low budget, and it just proves it's something that can be elevated and achieved in this way through a masterful script, a purity to the visuals, and just a true heart to the film, and something that that so many people can relate to, and just with these characters, this story, narrative, and just the way it kind of blends drama with comedy, and real emotion, and of course these great fight scenes in the film, just amazing. Of course, in the end, he doesn't actually win against Apollo Creed, but that's not the point. As you can see, as the credits roll, this is just a truly wonderful film, and it's one of my favourite romances. It's just the training montage, of course, for me is one of the greatest sequences in film, especially as well, and the way it's placed in particular moments, within the film, the context of it, it's so epic, and it's just really wonderful stuff. This really gets me pumped, and it's just one of the most epic kind of sequences in cinema, directed to perfection. There's not a single moment in the film that is is a weak moment. This is a flawless masterpiece, and it elevates. Really, really elevates. And by the end of it, it's one of the absolute, for me, greatest films ever made. This is just how you make a film. How invested I was in these characters. Just the feels I get from this, how human it is. Really, such a human film. It's a one that is just so full of heart and a sense of wonder to it, and it shows the passion of the sport. But just the American dream, and of course, a beautiful, beautiful love story. This one, of course, gets my highest rating. And yeah, Empire of the Sun was the one I've recently that I've given a tier S to. And actually, looking back before that on this channel, the last one I reviewed that I gave a tier S was Seventh Samurai. So as you can see, and that was February. So I don't really give out these ratings too often. Before that, it was just Christmas films, December films. Sorry, that kind of I was deliberately watching some of my favourites. I am going to be doing this over the next week, watching some more of my favourites. So expect some more really, really high ratings. But this one, no doubt, gets 100% plus. Tier S. And yes, for me, personally, it is one of the absolute finest films. It's in my top 50 of all time, and a magnum opus in every sense. This is a genius film. Very, very simple at times, and that adds to the experience. This is just not for a single moment do I not connect to the film and what it's trying to say and what it's exploring. A wonderful love story, one of my favourites, and just really gritty at times as well, but kind of just pure joy at times as well. That moment when he's just run up the steps. It's one of the greatest moments in cinema. That whole training sequence, when he picks up a speed and he's running along, by the docks. That is just one of the most thrilling shots of all time. It's one of the greatest for sure, and it's all down to direction, and stuff. And it's so well made. It's an absolute masterfully shot film, and the use of music is brilliant. It's perfect in my opinion. Just so epic, and this is a film. Starts off very, very low key, you could say, and very, very gritty. But it's just one of the most epic and meaningful films I've ever seen, and just every moment is entertaining. I'm compelled by every second of the film, and just a narrative for me is one of the greatest in film. And even the ending as well, the freeze frame, just one of the best in cinema. Maybe the Karate Kid one I prefer, but this is one of the very best once again. And just that whole ending, when of course Adrian is running through, it's just one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. It actually kind of maybe reminds me a bit of the Apartment, the ending to that Billy Wilder film, of course, and it's a bit similar in many aspects. Just the way they meet at the end again in the ring, it is one of the most uplifting moments in cinema for me, and this is a perfect film in the way it ends. It could not have been better. And yes, that whole final act, but followed by that ending, that freeze frame is just pure perfection in my opinion. And just the way that freeze frames can be so powerful in the way you just look back just for an instance. The rest of the film, and then of course it all leads to this very, very moment. It just lingers a little bit on that. And that's what freeze frame can do, and it can be so powerful and just kind of be more meaningful in the way a film ends, the way it's executed, in terms of what starts out with a script, the aims of a film, and all this kind of stuff. This is one of the very, very best in how it's achieved and what it's trying to say. It really is something special. This film, and it's no doubt for me one of the best films ever made, and it was easy to give this a tier S. It's always been one of my very, very favourite films. It's well into my top 50. So yeah, many will be thinking, there's many films you've not given a tier S, like Citizen Kane and stuff. But in my opinion, I think this is better. And for me, it's one of my favourite 50 films, and just an absolute magnum opus. As I say, Sylvester Stallone, Talia, Shire, Burt Young, Burgess, Meredith, all these, Carl Weathers. So likable, and just a great, great character, and just the whole rivalry between them in the film. It's just what it says about the media as well, the kind of comedy. This is a hilarious film. It has everything you want, at least I do, from a film, and just an absolute magnum opus. So yes, more reviews coming soon. As I say, this week. Some hints here. There's going to be maybe a Kubrick review, definitely another Chaplin, another Hitchcock, and another Spielberg. A lot of my favourite films are going to be reviewed, some of them this week. So yes, expect more to come, and yes, thanks for watching my review.